Do you talk to yourself? We all do. We do it far more than we even realize. And these conversations are the most important ones we have because what we think on the inside, the inner talk, creates our outer world. Stay tuned for how to talk to yourself for your greatest success. We talk to ourselves all the time. We might not even realize how often we do it, but think about it. When you wake up first thing in the morning, you're definitely talking to yourself. When you're driving, basically whenever you're alone, you are having a conversation with ourselves. And the inner talk that we have is extremely important. We got to make sure it's benefiting us because that inner talk really does create our outer world. And I think people don't even recognize it. A lot of times they say something to themselves along the lines of, I hate my job. I can't believe I said that. Why did she say that to me? Why did he do that to me? I still can't get over, like you literally are having these conversations over and over again. And we want to talk about how to have great inner talk so we really can have great success in our life. The inner talk, like we said in our first video, is you talking to yourself. You're talking to your conscience, and your conscience is your creator. In the beginning was the Word, if you're familiar with that passage. In the beginning was the Word. I don't believe this is an external deity that we're talking to. I think it's as simple and as basic as it says. In the beginning was the Word. See, our thoughts, our inner talk become words, and our words become our actions, and our actions become our our habit becomes our character, and our character becomes our destiny. So this is an extremely important concept to grasp, that in the beginning was the Word. And I really do think that that Word on the inside of us, see, everything already exists. We're not creating something new, but I feel like a lot of times we're looking in the wrong places because everything is within me. I don't need to look outside of me for anything, whether it be love, finances, relationships, whatever you can think of in this universe that you need or want or desire, it's already within you. It's already within me. And I love this. So the whole ask, seek, and knock is a really simple concept because when I'm asking, I'm not asking outside of myself. I'm asking within myself. And I am seeking not outside of myself. I'm seeking within because this already exists. All the money I ever need already exists. There's plenty of money in the world, by the way. And by the way, they print more when they need more, it seems. And that's not even an economic dilemma I'm going into. But what I'm saying is that everything that we need, money, love, house, car, peace, whatever it is you need in life, materialistic, spiritually, and any category you can name, is already within us. So asking for it, you're asking within. Seeking it, you're seeking within. And knocking, every time you knock on the door, it shall be opened. It's just that a lot of us are knocking on the wrong door. We're knocking on the doors outside of ourselves. Knock on the door within. It gets opened every single time. And it's never a surprise, I got something different. It's always the exact thing that you desire, or it's the exact thing that you need. And it's helpful because I love when I get something and it's like, I didn't exactly ask for that because I'm not ready for that yet. But as I grow and as I mature and as I realize that I have everything on the inside of me, it causes me to have the ability to be responsible, because that's what responsibility is, responding to the ability. And so I am really wanting us to get deep into understanding that the way that we talk to ourselves, the things that we say on the inside of ourselves, and the fact that we need to be aware that we're talking to ourselves this much, and that the things we say on the inside really do create our outside world. You know what I mean? So Our inner conversation really does create all things. But like I said a moment ago, technically everything's already been created. So it's just the fact that what you're creating is what you see on the outside of you, because everything's already created on the inside of you. And so to be able to know that, that's what brings everything that you need on the outside of you to be able to enjoy these pleasures. That's what it means to be able to ask, seek, and knock on the inside of you and believe that with all of your heart and know that that's really where you find everything. Then you will see it manifest on the outside of you. So this inner conversation, this inner talk, when we talk to ourselves, when we're talking inside of us, we're talking to our Creator who's created everything, and everything we ever need is absolutely right there for the asking, for the seeking, for the knocking, for the taking. You just need to be able to know where to find it. And this is why I want to continue talking about how to talk to ourselves on the inside so we can create everything we need on the outside. I love how Neville Goddard puts a lot of these concepts into play and makes so much sense of it. And that reality of the things that you believe, the things that you talk to yourself on the inside about, you should really be talking from the end. What do I mean by that? By the ability to see it already in its completed state, as opposed to wishing and wanting. If you wish for something, if you hope for something, if you want something in that way, that is basically saying you're lacking it. And it's a very interesting concept when you look from it that perspective. But ideally, if you can see on the inside of yourself, if you can understand that you already have it, then you function in that way and you speak to yourself in that way. Let me give you an example. So let's say you're not feeling well. And you can continue to talk about the fact that you're not feeling well. I get it. It's sucky to not feel well. Or you can know that healing belongs to you, that a healthy body is what we've already been blessed with. So if in fact you understand that and you start talking to yourself from a place of already being healed, continually being healed, remaining in a healed state, then you'll speak to yourself in a completely different way. Instead of saying, gosh, I feel like crap today, you are going to say, I love my healthy body, regardless of what we see on the outside. The outside is not where we get everything we need and desire from. It comes from within. So step one, no matter how we try to break this down, no matter where we are in our journey, I really believe it is the most important thing to really be aware of how often we're actually talking to ourselves and to do it on purpose. And you should watch the first video because I am a huge fan. I die hard believe the fact that first thing in the morning and right before you go to sleep at night are the most perfect times, not just because it's a more quieted time, but from the brain waves and how they function at those particular times are the most calming times to be able to put yourself in a position to say whatever it is you need to say, to start training yourself how to talk to yourself. Yeah, we actually got to learn how to talk to ourselves, because some of the things that we've learned on how we talk to ourselves are so wrong and they are such a detriment to us. I don't want thoughts rolling around in my head on a regular basis that are saying things like, oh, you were stupid for doing that, or why'd you decide to do that, or I can't believe you got in that relationship, or all the crazy things that we say and doubt and just think negatively about. That's not helping us at all. So just number one, becoming aware of your conversations that you have with yourself. Really, even if it means like every hour you set a timer and think to yourself, oh, what am I thinking right now? Like when you're in the car, don't forget how you got from point A to point B because you were thinking about so many things. This happens to us all the time. Really start thinking on purpose. So whenever you're by yourself, you should start to think on purpose. The conversations you have with yourself, have them on purpose, because what we think determines the words that we say, and our words become our actions become our habits become our character, and our character becomes our destiny. And I think that this is one of the most important things, because so many of us are not aware of what it is that we're doing that's either helping or not helping us through our day, through our week, through our life. So I think that that's number one, is to absolutely make sure that we are aware of the fact that we're having these conversations and start being in control of them. You determine what you think. And if a thought pops into your head, you determine which one you get to keep. You can watch the first video. This is, and there's another video I have about how to cancel negative thoughts that also talks about which thoughts you should keep and which thoughts you shouldn't. Not because I know the thoughts you should keep and you shouldn't. That's only something that you know. But we all know what a negative thought is versus a positive thought. So I think that is the most important thing, is to know that we're talking to ourselves and that conversation is creating everything else around us. And I think that is a very big ask for a lot of folks. Go, really? The stuff I think inside of me is what's happening outside of me? Yeah, it really is. And that's why 3, 4, 10 people can watch the same exact thing and they all have a different perception because they're looking through their own lens of how they perceive life. So somebody could say something. One person could think that they're talking in a very normal manner, whatever normal means, a very kind manner, let's say, where somebody else was like, oh, I don't know about that. That's because they have a different outlook on things. So that is what's projected, and that's the lens that they see every time they're talking to anyone. You ever heard of somebody who's constantly just saying negative things? You're like, man, does anything ever go right for you? They're in a perpetual cycle that no, things don't go right because they're always thinking this in a certain way. Or the fact that you might think something about somebody else that may or may not be true. It might just be because of the way you perceive them, but it may or may not be true. And you just think the same way about them all the time. So before they even open their mouth, the first thing you're saying to yourself is, oh, great, they're here. All of that changes when you decide to have better conversations within yourself, have a good inner talk. And when we do have that good inner talk, then we're in a position to no longer belabor all the things that weren't benefiting us in any way, because the conversation that we're now having is not about, I can't stand so-and-so, so when they come around, you can't stand them. Your conversation is far more about the ability to nurture and grow and admonish the things that you already have within you that will benefit you outside of you. You don't have time to be thinking about anybody else and their nonsense and the way they act and the way that they do things or the things that they said to you. That no longer has an impact because you are on purpose choosing to have conversations with yourself that benefit you. And it never benefits us to have a conversation reliving another conversation that we had with somebody else. Ever. That is in the past. You cannot live there unless you want to stay there, because that's where you'll stay. But if you want to be in the present now, which is really all we ever have is the now. You may be wasting the now by thinking about the past, but all we have is the now, right here, right now. So step 1 is to be completely aware of the fact that we have conversations with ourselves, inner talk, all the time. Step 2 is to know when to take the time to train your self-talk. You're going to do it all throughout the day eventually, but what's amazing is that our subconscious, we basically only use 5% of the time our conscious brain, and the rest of us is on autopilot. The 95% of the time we are functioning on autopilot. You don't get into your car and have to learn how to drive all over again. You know exactly how to drive. You can go from point A to point B and not even remember how you got there because you were on the phone talking or doing something else, maybe just having inner talk, and you don't even remember passing by such and such, but you know exactly how to get to work. You do it all the time. You know exactly how to drive. You don't have to think about, oh, am I supposed to put my foot on the brake and when do I go into park? None of that. Super simple, because we have programmed so much stuff in our subconscious that really is helpful, but we want to make sure that everything that's programmed in there is accurate and benefiting us, not just because we heard it all growing up. Some people have heard that, money doesn't grow on trees. We can't afford that. So they have a mindset of not being able to afford things and not thinking that money is something that easily can come to them, not because their parents were bad or they were bad. No, it's just that this mindset was what was spoken on a regular basis. If you think of somebody who has had wealth all their life, they always think that money comes easily. It is a completely different mindset, and you have to choose which mindset you want, regardless of how your mind has been, programmed, for the lack of a better word, thus far. It's your choice. You decide how it is you want to think. So number one is remembering and knowing and acknowledging that we are thinking. But number two is really about when to start programming. And that is at the very beginning of the day, when you first wake up in the morning, and especially right before you go to bed at night. Why? At this point in time, and I have another video about this, so I'm not going to go too deep into it, but that's when we're in a particular brain wave that allows us, we're not fully active and, in this beta and alpha. We are, beta. Gosh, I don't want to confuse my brain waves, but we're going from a theta to alpha, I think it is. Yeah, because it's delta, theta, alpha, I'm pretty sure. But either way, whatever the names of the brain waves are, because, Miss Scientist here is not claiming to be a scientist. It's right when you first wake up and right before you go to bed. It's what they refer to as akin to sleep, meaning that drowsy state right before you fall asleep. You can tell yourself at that very moment, whatever it is that you want to start making sure that that's part of your conversation that you have with yourself on a regular basis. So let's say we'll just go back to the health. And I think I keep harping on the health thing because all of this has been 10x'd for me because I have been really going through some stuff. And I got to say, the ability to know that my healing is on the inside of me and not the next doctor, specialist, tech, whomever it is that's seeing me for whatever health reason and they can't figure this thing out. I had to really just delve within and realize, wait a minute, I'm knocking on all the doors outside because I'm thinking that their profession is going to help me. And I'm not against a doctor. Thank goodness for doctors. It's a blessing that they have that information, that they went to school to understand the things that I don't know about. And I'm not against every pharmaceutical, but I'm not a fan of taking them unless it's absolutely necessary. So this being said, I am really harping on the health thing because it's really where I've been at these days. And I am loving knowing that my healing doesn't come from a doctor. And I always know that, but sometimes we forget when we're desperate to find out what is wrong. And so the ability to just know that my healing is within me. I already have this healing, and that my conversations that I have, that self-talk, better be talking about how great I am as a healthy person and how much I love that. So at nighttime, I was going to sleep and I was literally saying to myself, just over and over until I fell asleep, I am healthy. I am well, I am strong. It was very simple and very to the point. I am healthy, I am well, I am strong. Do you know I woke up in the morning thinking I am healthy, I am well, I am strong? It was beautiful. And I'm going to do a whole other video at some point about this. Actually, I have another one I'm going to pop out about the ladder technique, which is just an amazing little thing that I tried, being extremely skeptical, and yet it worked. And that's a different message. Sorry. Anyway, back to the matter at hand. And that was wonderful to wake up thinking, first thought I had in my head was, I am healthy, I am well, I am strong. So on my way to the bathroom, I just kept repeating that to myself. I'm not even saying it out loud. I am healthy, I am well, I am strong. So, when I'm thinking that, and that's the conversation I'm having with myself, now, you might not believe it fully right away, especially if you're experiencing pain. Oh my goodness, when you're experiencing pain, it's almost like, stop telling me I'm healthy, I'm well, I'm good. I'm freaking in pain. But you've got to choose to decide that healing is yours. You've got to make that decision no matter what the diagnosis is. And this can be applied to anything. You've got to make sure you want to, lose weight. You want to, or you want to gain health, I think is a better way to put it. Whatever it might be, you want to be in a great relationship with whomever that is that you're seeking, a partner for life in. You need more finances. You want a better job, whatever it might be. You want to work for yourself, which I completely encourage, as I've been an entrepreneur all my life. And I think that is so important, to be in a place where you know that you have to start believing the things that you're talking about. Because it was really easy to believe that so-and-so is a bleep bleep, because you've been telling yourself that for so long that it's super easy. You see that person, oh, they're a bleep bleep, because you know that. You have convinced yourself of that. You believe that. So to me, it's really important that you've got to believe the thing that you're saying to yourself. And sometimes it comes with time, but really, it's just about a commitment. Committing to the fact that I absolutely believe I am healthy. I absolutely believe I am strong. And I absolutely believe I am well. And when the pain comes, or when I don't have my financial, windfall immediately, I'm not deterred by that. I'm recognizing that there's still more I need to grow, more I need to understand, more I need to learn. So I am prepared and ready for the finances to come in because I'll know how to use them. I don't spend them in a ridiculous way. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with how anybody chooses to spend their money. It's their choice, but you can't cry about it later. So I couldn't care less how people choose to spend their money, but don't cry about it later. So do what you want with your money. But if you're continually in a place where you just, for the lack of a better term, piss it away, do you really expect money to constantly come? But if you understand that money is a kind of energy that you can spend beautifully and you can receive beautifully, it's sort of like electricity. I have a very good relationship with electricity. I am very aware of the fact that if I put my finger in a socket the wrong way, or it's an open electrical wire, I will get shocked. It will not feel good. If the polarity, if the electrical outlet is messed up, even if it's not grounded, something very simple, you could blow up. But when it's functioning properly, you plug in, the light goes on, you plug in, your computer works. This is what I'm talking about, having this wonderful relationship with yourself, with your inner conversation, with your creator, knowing that you don't have to go searching and seeking and looking for things outside of you. It's within. So at the evening time, start being prepared, even with the simplest thing. I'm healthy, I'm well, I'm strong. Whatever it is, take one subject at a time. Don't try to cram it all in. I want you to see, by just saying those simple 3 things that I said to myself in the evening, I woke up thinking about it in the morning, and it was beautiful. And I had no other distraction. The TV is not on. The lights are not on. I am going to sleep, and whether you're in a bed with somebody or you sleep by yourself, either way, it's just lights are out. You're about to go to sleep. You're drowsy, and to yourself, you're saying, I'm healthy. I am well. I am strong. And you just repeat it to yourself until you fall asleep. And in the morning, you're going to find that that's what's on your mind. It's like a computer. You put that program in. So now you get to repeat that conversation and have that good conversation with yourself again. And what happens? Now you're encouraging yourself. I am healthy. I am strong. I am well. I have the choice. I can believe I'm unhealthy. I can believe I'm not strong. And I can believe that I'm not well. But why would I do that? Right? And don't let your circumstance dictate your inner conversation. However you got to the position that you're in was not because you had a good conversation with yourself, right? So let's start taking action in this way. So that's the second thing, when to start training yourself. And the third thing is I talked about it a little bit, is you've got to believe. What is a belief? Whatever you think. Whatever you think on a regular basis, be it true or not true, whatever we think on a regular basis becomes our belief system. Some people believe this, others believe that. Why don't we all just believe the same thing? Because it's whatever we're thinking that we believe. And if you have the same thought over and over again, that's your belief. So if you can decide which thoughts you want to have, that's what you believe. So I'm choosing to have the thought of being healthy, being well, and being strong. And that is my belief. And that is my inner conversation. And that is my inner talk that creates my outer world. So all this to say, it has to be something that you really do believe. And I love how Neville Goddard really did talk about look at things from the end. And what that means is see it in its fulfilled state and believe that. So if you are having financial difficulties right now, to be in a place where you are telling yourself that you are wealthy, to be in a place of How would you think if you were a wealthy person? Start asking yourself those questions, because that's how you want to start thinking. What would be the things that you would be doing? And then start telling yourself those things. If you need another job, if you want to start your own business, then start talking to yourself in that way. But you've got to see it from a place of it already being fulfilled. Again, I'm going to go back to the health situation, because I'm seeing myself as being completely, fully, totally healthy in every possible way. And that is the feeling that I choose to accompany and live in that thought and live in that belief. It really has to be something that your heart absolutely knows is true. God looks on the man's heart, right? And it's just something that's so important to be able to make sure. And let me give you an example. Everybody knows the David and Goliath story, right? And David went up against Goliath the giant, and it never was him saying anything along the lines of, and by the way, in any normal situation, hands down, Goliath wins, right? But David had great inner conversations with himself. That boy was in the fields with his sheep on a regular basis by himself. He probably had more conversations with himself than anyone that I know, because he spent so much time alone. And by the way, being alone does not mean that you are lonely. I adore my time alone. It is absolutely beautiful. I love my singleness in that way. It's perfection for me. So please understand that David had great inner talk with himself, so that by the time he was in front of that giant, he didn't say, I hope I take the giant out. I'll give it my best college try. I mean, he didn't say anything like that. He literally said, this day, the Lord will give you into my hand. And don't quote me, because each Bible says it a little bit differently. But he went into that knowing that that giant was going to be delivered to him, that there was no other option but the fact that he would have victory. He went in seeing it from the end of knowing that he knew that he was having that victory. And let me just say that, knowing that you know, I don't want it to be to the point where we don't think we can have an open mind or an understanding to grow and learn. I don't ever want to think that I know that I know that I know, because then I can't grow. And I want to always be in a place where I'm hoping that I am knowing more every day. I'm hoping I'm growing and learning more every day, because that gives me the opportunity to continuously grow and not just think, nope, this is what I think, this is what I believe, this is what I know. I love the opportunity to be able to assess the things that I am investigating, that I'm reading about, that I've heard about, and choose to not just cut things off that don't fit in with my current belief. I love the ability to know that I can grow, not be taken for a ride, but that I can continuously grow in my journey in life. It's a beautiful thing. So, number one is to make sure that we're completely aware that we do all talk to ourselves. Number two is to really ensure that we are doing this in the evening and in the morning time, right before you go to sleep and right when you wake up in the morning, that we're instructing ourselves on the things that we want to have conversations with ourselves about, so that it benefits us, so that our inner talk creates our outer world in a way that's beneficial to us. And number three is that you've got to really believe it. You've got to really know that you are not just trying to make yourself think you're healthy. You really do believe that the one who created you, gave you everything that you have and need, is already on the inside of you. And no matter what it is you want to call out, that you need, that you desire, that you want, it's already within you. And when I started really grasping onto that concept, I no longer have to fake it till I make it. I really do believe I am healthy. And if somebody has a pessimistic outlook, oh, that doesn't always work, or what about the person that did that? I don't have time for that. So I'm not mad that you want to think differently than me. This video is not for you. But I absolutely love that my Creator created me with everything that I need already on the inside of me. And when I am asking, I know I'm going to receive it. And when I'm seeking, I know I'm going to find it. And when I'm knocking, I know the door is going to be open, but I don't have to ask, seek, and knock outside of myself. I don't have to go figuring out which door it is. There's only one door. It's right within me, and it's beautiful. So I'm really hoping that this helps us to grasp how to start having great conversations with ourselves so that we can have our inner talk create our outer world. Thanks for hanging with me for a bit. If you enjoyed this, please do give it a thumbs up. And if you think this information would be beneficial to somebody else you know, please do share it with them. Subscribe, as I do put out a video once a week on Wednesdays, and the other 6 days I put out a short. And if you hit that notification bell, you'll be notified when it happens. Until next time, shine.